I always believed betrayal came with warning signs. Suspicious silences, sudden changes in affection, maybe a phone call taken in another room. But when it finally hit me, it didn't arrive quietly. It crashed into my life like a wave I never saw coming. My name is Jake Thompson. I'm 29, a software engineer with a steady life, a decent apartment in Chicago, and until recently, a fiancée I adored, Sophia Martin. She was sunshine in human form, radiant, warm, and effortlessly magnetic. I used to catch myself staring at her, wondering how someone like me got lucky enough to love someone like her. We met 3 years ago at a tech conference, of all places. She was working PR for one of the presenting startups. I bumped into her, literally spilled coffee on her beige blazer and ruined what she later called her favorite work outfit. She laughed it off, accepted my apology, and somehow agreed to dinner that weekend. The rest unfolded like a perfect sequence. Organic, easy, natural. Within a year, we moved in together. Our lives meshed seamlessly. She loved my awkward quirks. I cherished her spontaneous spirit. Sophia made me believe love could be both passionate and peaceful, until it wasn't. The one person I always tried to protect our relationship from was my father, Robert Thompson. At 53, he was everything I wasn't. A towering presence with a polished charm and an ego that didn't know restraint. Women adored him, men envied him, and I tolerated him. Barely. He wasn't a bad father, not in the traditional sense. He showed up to games, helped pay for college, and even got me my first job out of school. But he was a serial cheater. My mother left him after 20 years of quietly suffering through whispers, lipstick-stained shirts, and late-night business meetings. I swore I'd never become like him, never let that kind of dishonesty seep into the life I was building. When I introduced him to Sophia, something shifted. His eyes lingered too long. His compliments felt rehearsed. If I were 20 years younger, he once said at dinner, raising his wine glass to her, I'd be chasing you around the world. He laughed. So did Sophia, nervously. Didn't. I told myself it was just his way. He always pushed boundaries. That didn't mean anything was actually happening. Sophia and I got engaged 6 months ago on a breezy September evening. I proposed at Lake Michigan, right where we had our first date. She cried, said yes, said she couldn't imagine life without me. It was the happiest moment of my life, and I held onto that joy like a lifeline. The months leading up to the wedding were a whirlwind of floral samples, venue visits, and guest list debates. Sophia threw herself into it. Or at least she did at first. Lately, she'd become distant, not cold, just distracted. I chalked it up to stress. Wedding planning is exhausting, and she was still juggling her demanding job. I didn't want to be the paranoid fiancé who imagined problems where there were none. Robert offered to pay for most of the wedding. "Let me do this for you," he insisted. A father's privilege. I hesitated, but Sophia encouraged it. "It's generous, Jake," she said. "He just wants to be involved." And so, he was. Almost too involved. He asked about dress styles, suggested honeymoon spots, even attended a few planning meetings uninvited. Every time I questioned it, he brushed me off with a smirk. Just trying to help. Still, I said nothing, because I trusted Sophia, and because part of me wanted, desperately, to believe my father was capable of change. Then came the Bachelor party. Robert insisted on organizing it himself. No wild clubs, no strippers, nothing trashy. Just a classy weekend retreat, he promised. The kind of night you'll actually remember. He rented a secluded lakeside cabin 2 hours out of the city. I was reluctant at first, but I didn't want to offend him. Sophia encouraged me to go. "You deserve a break," she smiled, kissing my cheek. "Have fun, just don't come back married to a stripper." The night before we left, she hugged me longer than usual. There was something in the way she held me, an urgency, almost guilt, but I brushed it off. She whispered, "I love you, Jake, no matter what." No matter what? I didn't know then that it would be the last moment I looked at her the same way. The last time I thought of my father as merely flawed, not monstrous. The cabin awaited, and so did the truth, hidden behind smiles, buried in silence, and ready to tear my world apart. The drive to the cabin was unusually quiet. Robert's Mercedes hummed smoothly along the winding road as the city faded into distant memory. He made small talk, sports, weather, politics, but I wasn't really listening. My mind was on Sophia. Her lingering hug still haunted me. Her whispered "no matter what" playing on repeat like a scratched record. The cabin itself was absurdly over the top. 3 stories tall, glass walls overlooking a private lake, a hot tub glowing under recessed deck lights. "A bachelor party should feel like a celebration," Robert announced, tossing me a bottle of 25-year-old scotch. "Not a punishment." I forced a smile. "Didn't expect luxury in the woods." "Only the best for my son," he said, his tone casual, but something in his eyes unsettled me, like he was savoring a private joke. Inside, the vibe was festive. Eli and 2 other college friends were already there, playing poker at the oak dining table. They cheered when I walked in, beers in hand, teasing me about married life and last night of freedom. The jokes felt forced. I laughed anyway. Hours passed. We drank, played cards, swapped stories. Robert was everywhere, refilling glasses, grilling steaks, commanding attention. It was his party more than mine. At one point, he disappeared for nearly 30 minutes. I noticed no one else seemed to care. I stepped outside for air and found Eli already there, leaning against the railing, a cigarette glowing between his fingers. "You good?" I asked. He hesitated. "You ever feel like something's off? Like people are acting one way, but there's something else going on underneath?" I looked at him. His tone was odd, measured, heavy. "What do you mean?" He took a drag, eyes on the lake. I wasn't going to say anything. Figured it was none of my business. But I saw something, a while back. I waited. He exhaled slowly. "Sophia, at the Roosevelt Hotel, coming out of a room on the 8th floor, alone. But I swear I saw your dad go in like 10 minutes before that." I blinked. "You're serious?" He nodded. "Could be nothing. Just seemed weird." My stomach tightened. I laughed it off too quickly. "You're probably overthinking it. Dad's there all the time for work meetings." "Maybe," he said. "Just thought you should know." We went back inside, but the warmth had drained from the room. I couldn't shake it. Sophia, Robert, the hotel. Later that night, everyone had passed out or gone to bed. I lay awake on the leather couch, staring at the ceiling fan turning lazily above me. Robert's phone buzzed on the kitchen island. Once, twice, then again. I shouldn't have looked, but I did. The screen lit up with her name. Sophia. My heart stuttered. I picked it up, unlocked it. His birthday. Of course. The messages were there, dozens of them. "Miss you already. Can't stop thinking about the other night. He's leaving for the cabin tomorrow. We'll have time to talk." Photos. Words I never imagined she'd say. Words meant for someone else. For him. My chest tightened. The air in the room turning toxic. I felt hollow, dizzy, detached from my own body. My father. My fiancé. I scrolled back months. It wasn't a fling. It was an affair. An emotional, physical betrayal, unfolding while I planned a life with her, while I defended her, while I trusted them. I didn't hear him come in. "Looking for something?" Robert's voice was calm, almost amused. I turned, phone still in my hand. "You son of a..." I charged at him, fists clenched, but stopped inches from his face. My whole body trembled. He didn't flinch. "She came to me, Jake." "You're my father." He shrugged. "She said you were distant, that you didn't make her feel seen." I wanted to scream. Instead, I whispered, "You don't get." To justify this, You deserved the truth, he said, taking the phone back. Now, you have it. I left the cabin without another word, into the woods, into the night. The cold hit my skin like ice, but it didn't matter. My world had cracked open, and the people I loved most were the ones who lit the match. Sophia called me minutes later. I ignored it. She called again. This time I answered. Jake, she sobbed. Please, let me explain. There's nothing left to explain. It wasn't supposed to happen this way. I didn't plan it. He made me feel like I mattered. And I didn't? Silence. I ended the call. The stars above looked different, colder, indifferent. I stared at them until dawn, waiting for the numbness to fade. It never did. The cabin never saw me again. I left that place behind like a haunted house, shrouded in betrayal, echoing with lies. I drove back in silence, the highway blurring beneath me as thoughts thundered through my head. The wedding was 3 weeks away. By the time I reached my apartment, the morning sun had risen, casting a pale glow on everything that once felt familiar. Now even the couch where Sophia used to curl up beside me seemed tainted. I dropped my phone on the counter and collapsed into the silence. Not grief, not anger, just a deep, hollow stillness. The first text from Sophia came before noon. Please, talk to me. Then another, and another. I didn't respond. Not because I didn't want answers, but because I already had them. Her words wouldn't change what I'd seen, what I'd felt. Later that day, Eli came by with coffee and silence. No speeches, no advice, just presence. That's what I needed most. We sat in my living room, side by side, watching nothing in particular on TV. You're not alone, man, he said finally. I nodded. I know. But part of me felt like I was, because the two people I trusted most had torn my world apart, and I had no blueprint for what came next. Sophia showed up 2 days later. I didn't let her in. She stood in the hallway, tear-streaked, holding a small box. These are the letters, she said. The ones you wrote me. I couldn't keep them. It didn't feel right. I took the box without a word. She searched my face for something, maybe forgiveness, maybe closure. I didn't plan this, she whispered. It just happened. I looked at her, truly looked at her, and realized I didn't recognize her anymore. Not the woman who held my hand through my mother's funeral. Not the woman who said yes beneath a twilight sky. You didn't just break my heart, I said. You burned the foundation of everything we built. She winced. I know, I deserve that. And then she left. My father never reached out. Not a single message, not an apology. I suppose in his mind he hadn't done anything wrong. He saw women as opportunities, not people. Even if that woman had a ring from his son, I cut him off completely. Blocked his number, deleted his emails. I told mutual relatives that if he showed up at the wedding venue, I wouldn't be there. The wedding, of course, was canceled. Vendors were notified, deposits lost. I sent an email to guests, short and vague. The wedding will not proceed as planned. Thank you for your support. A few replied with concern. Most respected the silence. I spent the next few weeks alone, truly alone. I took time off work, unplugged from everything, social media, group chats, noise. I walked a lot, around the city, through empty parks, into places where no one knew my name. I needed distance, not just from Sophia or Robert, but from the version of myself who believed love was bulletproof. One morning, I found myself standing outside the Lake Michigan Pier, our spot, the place where I proposed. The sky was gray, the water restless, but I stayed there, breathing in the cold wind, letting it scrape against my skin like penance. It was there I began to accept the truth. Sophia wasn't evil. Neither was Robert in the cartoon villain sense. But they were selfish, deeply broken. And I had been naive, believing love was enough to cure dysfunction. Believing I could rewrite my father's legacy, by simply choosing differently. Some legacies, it turns out, burn from both ends. But I also realized this. I was still here. Breathing, broken, yes, but not destroyed. The pain didn't vanish. It wouldn't for a long time. But pain is honest. It doesn't lie. It tells you where you've been wounded, where you've been blind. And if you listen, it teaches you how to rebuild. Slower, stronger. One night, months later, I sat in my apartment with a journal and wrote the words I hadn't said out loud. I forgive you, not because you asked, but because I deserve peace. I didn't write their names. I didn't need to. Closure isn't about the other person. It's about reclaiming your story.